Hi, gratitude seekers, and welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today, I have a really special guest. His name is Calvin Correli. He's an artist, entrepreneur, and the CEO of a holistically focused multi-million dollar software company called Simplera. He is also an inspiring human being, and I've been admiring him for quite a while. He's been able to make an interesting combination between being an artist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual person, which is amazing. Like everything I would like to be, he is already from many points of view. So
Making me blush, Georgia.
yeah, so I really admire him. I've been following him for quite a while. I've been reading his newsletters, and he has a great message to share with us and to share with the world. And I'm sure that you will enjoy this interview. Calvin, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Not really, honestly. I just want to say I'm super excited to be here and to meet you. And thank you to the listeners out there for being with us today.
Awesome. Welcome here with us, and I know that we will have a lot of fun. So the first thing that I would like to find out from you is, what is your favorite quote on gratitude and why?
It's a good question. I feel like I should have like a really neat wrapped up in with a little bow on top kind of quote to go here. But the reality is that I don't. But I do remember a few years ago when someone was like joking about how the present moment is called the present for a reason, because it's a gift. So that like the gift of the present moment is an idea that's really stayed with me. It's the key to everything, isn't it? Like not being stuck in the past and not being, obsessed about the future, but just really realizing that all the power to do everything that you ever wanted to do in your life is right here, right now, in this moment. What are you going to do with it? Well, start by being grateful.
Yeah, exactly. I like this because this is all we have, actually. The present of the present moment.
Exactly.
In which we can enjoy everything and be grateful for everything.
Yeah. And I mean, we all do this, right? Where we start to think that we need something. I remember actually my first teacher back in 2007, I'm going to say, where he was like, is there something that you like really want? And I was like, at that point, I was like, yeah, I really want the new MacBook Pro. I think he was a little bit disappointed in that answer, but I'm a nerd. I can't hide that fact. But then he was like, he helped me see that like that desire for that object was really like a source of pain, right? It was like, oh, it's like, I need this thing. It's like a lack. And then like, as soon as I get it, that pain goes away, but then there's going to be another desire to pop up instead. Like, you think that getting this thing, whatever it is the source of peace and calm, but it's really the other way around. It's the peace and calm is already there, and it's desire causing the pain. And then once that desire is fulfilled, like natural calm is restored for a second until we like get ourselves out of it again.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, this is a really good point, because while being present and being here with all of our attention, this is the easiest way and the easiest time when you can feel grateful. And it's really easy. For instance, I've seen from my own experience that when I meditate, for instance, after I meditate, it's much easier to feel grateful about. I'm much more centered. I'm much more calm. My thoughts are much more clear, and it's much easier for me to feel grateful. In other times when I'm much too uh, involved in action and in doing stuff, I forget about being grateful, and I just I have to do this and that and the other thing, and I'm actually not being present
Right.
and
Yeah.
enjoying the present.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. I'm also thinking there's just like a natural, like I always get curious about like, it feels like gratitude is more of the natural state of things, the kind of the organic state. So like, I like to flip the question around and be like, how am I practicing non-gratitude right now?
Interesting.
And can I just notice that I'm doing that? Like, what is it that I'm like making out to be a problem? What is it that I'm making wrong? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
instead
yeah.
of like, oh, I'm doing that, but now I need to, on top of that, start to be grateful and practice gratitude. Like, what if I just kind of let go of being non-grateful, of creating problems, or just even just being willing to notice that I'm doing that, and maybe in a sense
Exactly.
even be grateful for that.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Yeah, it's much easier to flip that around than to try to fight it or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fighting doesn't get you
yeah,
anywhere. It's like
exactly.
just
Really interesting. Yeah. And by the way, what do you do when it's hard to be grateful?
yeah. I mean, that would usually be if I'm upset, if I'm triggered about
Yeah.
something, and so it helps for me to remind myself that kind of whatever that trigger thing that my mind is going on about is wrong, is like that is not true, that like whatever emotional turmoil is going on inside is not going to last forever. So this, I love this old phrase of like, this too shall pass, this too
Mm.
shall pass. And and remind myself that everything is exactly as it should be. It's that's a sentence that has just like wreaked havoc with my mind on so many occasions, because the entire way that we're brought up, and especially, well, side note, like in human design, I'm a profile 3-4. I don't know if you've looked into human
Yeah,
design at all, but
yeah.
it's super cool. I love it. And so the 3 profile is all about identifying everything that's wrong. That's really one of my big gifts, is to go into any situation and be like, this is broken, this could be better, we should, like, this could be fixed this way, etc. And I'm pretty sure I should put up my dad's chart, actually, because I'm pretty sure that he's the same way, because he's very good. Like, he can walk into any situation and tell you exactly what's wrong. And that hurt so much growing up, I cannot tell you.
I'm sure.
Because he will do it with people, and that's one thing that I remember at my human design reading. She was like, you want to apply this skill at kind of the tribal level, at the societal level. You do not want to apply it on the personal level with your friends or your spouse, because that's
Exactly.
just, or your kids for that matter. That's just going to cause pain. But so for me, just like getting used to that notion that everything is exactly as it should be, just like relaxes every part of my body. It drops the resistance to, like, and it lets me see where my mind is caught up in this idea that it isn't how it should be, right? And then finally, just like really connecting with my body, because these are all the mind going on, that like, like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
I should be grateful. It's like, but once you're truly in your body and you can let your mind go a little bit, again, that organic, natural gratitude kind of happens.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's
And
what I do.
the funny thing is that solutions actually come much more easier
Oh yeah. Oh
when
yeah.
you do that, because we think we have to, okay, we have to fight for it, we have to, okay, what's the solution? And when you calm down, when you do what you do,
Hmm.
um, it's much easier to receive the solutions, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the universe is always trying to make it easy for us, right? We're the
Yeah,
ones struggling and trying to make it hard.
yeah, yeah. But there's another thing. I don't know if you know about this, but I'm sure you do. Our brains are actually wired in a way that we seek danger with the things that might cause us danger. Like, we seek
Hmm.
the things that are not okay, um, so we can survive. Actually,
Hmm. Yeah.
a big part of our brain is doing just that. So
It sounds like conditioning going like if I punish myself and I make myself wrong, then I can prove that I'm a good boy or a good girl by trying to live up to this or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's also something like general with things that are happening in our lives. The negatives tend to get more into our conscious,
Mm-hmm.
and we tend to think more about them because we might feel threatened by them or stuff like that,
Right.
and that threatens our survival actually.
Got it. Yeah.
And on some level, it might feel unnatural to be grateful
Mm-hmm.
because like okay, these things are happening. Why should I feel grateful? I have to protect myself. I have to do all these kind of things so I can feel protected.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why many people have kind of conflict with this, trying to be grateful when in fact they, for instance, they protect themselves with resentment or
Right.
with
Have
not
you come
forgiving.
across Have you come across Byron Katie?
I've heard of her, but I don't know exactly where to.
She's cool. I mean, she's this like, I don't know, elderly lady, I guess.
Mhm.
Like random woman who just stumbled upon what she calls the work. But the whole idea is like everything that you have, like, oh my God, this shouldn't be this way, or like any of these thoughts that you have, you're like, her process is basically questioning that and like realizing that it's not how things are, it's our thinking about how things are that gets
Exactly.
us right. And one of my favorite stories that she tells is this lady that's in the hospital, and Byron visits her, and the lady's like out of it, and she's like, oh, it's so awful, it's awful, and Byron's like, I don't see the problem. And then the lady like takes the covers off of one leg and it's all swollen up, and Byron is like, I'm sorry, but I'm really not seeing the problem still. And then she takes the covers off the other leg to show that it's like normal, and then Byron is like, oh, now I see the problem is that you think this leg should be like this other leg. And it's just that whole like, and the other thing that she does is like all of these things that trigger us, instead of like, I never want to have like my wife like be upset with me again or accuse me of something I didn't do, and like I hate it. And it's like you flip that around and you're like, I look forward to the next time this happens,
Oh,
because basically because if it still triggers me, it just shows me that there's still stuff for me to do, and I'm happy to do that. So yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to all the most like awful things that could happen.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, there is another, I think, from how to stop worrying and start living. Uh, um, you ask yourself a question like, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And the funny thing is that after you put this question, you think about the worst thing that could happen, and then you relax somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, you just know it's not something. Oh, it might something that I don't can't understand. You know, okay, this
Mhm.
might happen. Okay.
Yeah. No, exactly. I was super scared when we applied for a visa here for the US um, a couple years ago, and I was like, so scared about it, and did exactly that. Like, what's the worst that can happen? All right, so let's say we get denied. All right, then we have to leave the country. Okay, there's going to be some costs associated with that. We're going to have to find someplace else to live. All right, well, we can, and then we would, and just thinking it all through in detail. And you're like, yeah, that would suck. That's totally not what I desire. It's totally not what I want. But we'd be fine. And then it kind of takes the sting out of it, right? And then you can just get on.
Exactly. You can do something with it. If it's
Yeah.
not clear what's the danger, what's the possible bad outcome, it's like you just worry.
Then the mind just goes haywire on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what I'm really curious to find out from you is that if you have some story about how you got to be a more grateful person or a grateful person, did something happen in your life, or were you like since forever grateful, or?
No, I mean, definitely not. Definitely not. I think the biggest thing is probably getting out of being a victim in life, right? Because what I realized was, and this is not too long ago, I think it's probably in 2013, that I feel like I finally had this moment. I was working with a coach for a while named Trip Lanier. He's pretty cool. He does this called the New Man. He's a cool guy. And I was going on and on about like feeling sorry for myself about something. Like, I think it was like I was sitting down to write a sales page for some product I wanted to launch, and then I just felt completely unworthy. And I was like, how can I have anything to sell when I feel so unworthy, and poor me, and I just feel so unworthy. And he's like, he didn't buy it at all. He was like, all right, so what do you get out of like playing this card? Like, what do you get out of like going down this route? And I was like, I don't know. I just wish I wouldn't feel so unworthy and so awful. And then he was like, well, I think like, do you want to know what I think? And I was like, yes, tell me. And he was like, I think what you get out of it is that you don't need to take responsibility for your life. You don't need to take responsibility for what you really want and create it. And I was like, damn it really hurt. And it made me realize that like that was exactly what I was doing. I was like, I would create this depression at least like once a month of like a few days of just like not being able to function properly and just feeling sorry for myself. And like it had gotten like gradually better. And in the beginning I'd like actually want to jump off a balcony if there was one. I was like really like ready to kill myself, but I'm not really, I guess. I'm hurting and poor me. And it was like, it was my parents' fault, and I was like born in the wrong country. And I know if only I'd met smart, like better friends or whatever, then everything would be different and blah, blah, blah. And realizing that this was all just like stuff I'd made up. And, but the thing is, when you're stuck in that victim mode, you need like, I was really pissed at my parents, and like I needed to stay unhappy and unsuccessful in order to prove that they did me wrong. Right.
Wow, yeah.
Because if I all of a sudden had all the happiness and all the success that I always said I wanted, then they would be able to say, well, you said we did you wrong, but you made it work anyway, right? So really do we really do? And it's like, that's the case when you're living your life from that place. You need to stay there to prove how much of a victim you are. And if you break out of it, now all of a sudden you prove that you were never a victim to begin with. And that's a big pill to swallow, right? I really had to swallow my pride on that one, but it's so worth doing, but it is a pill to swallow and be like, oh my God, all this misery I've created for myself all these years, I could have ended anytime I wanted. It was never about all the things I made it about and I claimed that it was about. I think we underestimate just how huge that is to swallow for people. And that's why so many people stay stuck in being a victim, because it really is like, it's kind of like like the Concorde breaking the wall, sound of wall, or whatever that's called, like where it's just like it's just, there's no way around it. It's just like a huge pill that you just got to swallow, and you can't bite it over in chunks, really. You just got to, all right, yep, did that to myself. Completely unnecessary. All right, fine, time to move on.
Well, yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah, I've been there a lot of times, and I totally relate with your story, and I love the way you say it and the way you make fun of yourself. This is a good level to be at.
Yeah.
To just laugh at the things that in the past they made you. I think it was part of you and part of your personality. This is like who you were, and to be able to laugh about this is awesome stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like once you're on the other side too, it's like, I talk to my wife about this a lot, because she's like, once she has these realizations, she's like, oh my God, I've wasted all these years of my life doing this. And if I only had known before. Yeah. And I'm like, sweetheart, you're 27, I'm 42, I'm still having these insights, and I have so many more years of doing stupid stuff than you. Just get over that. Like there's always going to be like, oh my God, I've wasted so many times. But once you're there in the present, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many years it's like you're here now, and it feels amazing, right? So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, the answer to your question was like that was like the thing that really kept me away from gratitude. Because again, just to underscore that point, when you're really stuck being victim, you can't be grateful because you need to be not grateful in order to prove that you're a victim.
Exactly. It's who you are, and it would be against you somehow to choose to be grateful
Exactly.
when it's
It's
so
yeah, your
hard.
identity, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, and I wanted to say something about yeah, you can't go back in time, and it's like, okay, some things weren't as you would have loved it to be, or as the media wanted you to have the kind of life that you see there, or stuff like that. But uh, the important thing is the present moment, and the fact that you are who you are right now, and you have all the experience that you have, and basically this is it.
Yep.
But if you could go back in time, uh, what would you tell your younger self about gratitude?
Um, I think comes down to curiosity, actually. Like to me, curiosity is being curious is like being open to life, being open to the present moment, being open to yourself, discovering truth, reality at any level. My biggest thing was that um, I was so hell bent on hating myself and feeling wrong. And I was so committed to hating myself and feeling wrong that I wasn't even willing to get to know myself. I was
Mm.
like, I don't know who I am, but I don't like it, and I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna try to find out. And so just being like being in a little more of like an open, curious space regarding this. I was always curious about like the outer stuff, and to some extent, but like really deeply curious about like who am I and what am I really feeling, and what might, I don't know, what might emerge, I was gonna say, but yeah, but like getting to know myself really at a deeper level. And I wouldn't even say, I mean, self-love is super important, but the to me the gateway to self-love is just the willingness to possibly love yourself. If it's in my experience, like once again, it's like what we talked about in the beginning, is like there's that the reason that not self-love is there is because we're very committed to that.
Mhm.
So it's instead of like how can I love myself, it's like how am I currently like not loving myself, because I feel like that's the action. The natural state is
Oh,
love.
this is really
So it's like,
good. Yeah.
how am I not loving myself? And once you become willing to maybe possibly stop not loving yourself, I feel like that's kind of the boulder that sets everything in motion, or the domino, and then self-love kind of happens from there.
Wonderful, wonderful. What I learned in a recent interview with a Navy SEAL, he wrote a book, and he's a marriage coach. His name is Derek Laviolette.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of episodes ago, he said something that really hit home. Usually, when it comes to spirituality and relationships, everyone tells you you should take responsibility for the things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
But until I got to talk with him, I never thought about what you do with that responsibility. Like for me, for instance, for a lot of time it was pressure. Okay, I have to take responsibility,
Mm.
and I didn't know how to cope with all the responsibility I've taken. Like I didn't know what to do next. And what I loved about what he said is that um, you also need another step is to be compassionate about yourself, and
Yes.
to love yourself, also not just take responsibility and try to be tough and things like that, but also to have love for yourself while doing that, and to um, take care of yourself also while taking responsibility. And this is that really hit home for me. And
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That makes so much sense. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. What I like to think of too is taking responsibility really only works when you realize that everything is exactly as it should be. Like nothing's wrong in this moment, right? Because otherwise it becomes blame. Oh, it's my fault. I'm to blame, like, or whatever. But if everything is exactly as it should be right now, and you take responsibility for that, there's no blame. There's nothing wrong, so there's nothing to blame or punish for. And then you can be like, all right, so I created this. Let me figure out what I'm going to create next. That there's also going to be nothing wrong with, but that I may prefer.
yeah, yeah, that might be a bit better, or I might feel a bit better with
Yeah.
that situation. Yeah.
Well, and not because like that thing necessarily makes you like we have access to all the good feelings all the time, right? But if we were put on this earth and given these resources to play with them and have fun. So like, what else would we like to play with and have fun?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So what I'm really curious also about is if you use in one way or another gratitude to build your business, to build Simplero. Like, do you feel like it helped you to grow it to the place it is right now?
Um, yes, absolutely. Like the word that I most use around it is love, which to me is very related. But
It sure is, yeah.
yeah, I mean, definitely like just I mean, every day these days I'm just super grateful for my teams and my audience, my customers, and like everything that I've somehow managed to create around me. And it's just such a blessing to be in that um, to be in that environment and have that around me. I feel like I mean from the early days it was just you know the fact that other people wanted to use this product and that other people were interested, and you know I built it for myself, and I obviously knew that this might happen, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna make this, like it wasn't like that. It was like it was really like a pleasant surprise that like, oh my god, there was like one person, there's like I think I had probably like 10 people using it for free for quite a while, and I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna start charging for this thing, are you guys cool with that? And they're like, sure. And you know, and just like every new customer, every day, it's just like a blessing. Every follower, every comment, every you know, every interaction, all of these, it's yeah. I don't take any of it for granted, and I just really enjoy the process of it. I remember the day I was living in India when in December 2012, when I realized that you know the revenue from Simplero was big enough to pay all of my bills, given that I didn't move out of India, which obviously eventually I did, but like at a low cost of living. I was like, oh my God, I don't like now I have you know enough monthly income to not have to get any other revenue anywhere else.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
that was really amazing. I'm again like super grateful for that experience, because what it did was it just honed into me like, what is it that this is really about for me? And for me it's really about like realizing the vision for this product so that it may truly serve people who have a mission like yourself. Like I'm really all for creating the tool that will amplify your impact in the world and your life satisfaction, and then at the same time sharing my message and sharing everything I've learned in the process, which is what I'm doing right here with you right now. So
Yeah,
I'm super grateful for that.
and another good thing that you're doing with Simplera that I love is the fact that you mix the technical and business side with spirituality, with having a positive impact, like the fact that you have a message. I think it's on the left uh, top corner or something. Um, it's a positive message. What do you want to do with your business? How you want
Oh
to,
right, yes.
yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I like
Yeah.
that also. The fact that I don't know if it's all the time or when you hover, it says Simplero loves you,
Yeah.
like that. And I think it's really cool
Have
to
you played with the light bulb thing in the top right corner?
uh, I don't remember right now.
No. I put this light bulb in there that will give you like a quote and a picture and like just
Oh,
it's-
yeah, I should play with that.
yeah. Let me know what you think.
Awesome. So yeah, I think this is really cool um, to be an example of a new way of doing business and a new way of doing things that are like technical, that are really
Mhm. I think for me, it's like my approach is also like, definitely I want to keep like growing the company and like more customers and like whatever 10x and all these things. But way more important to me than those like specific concrete goals is the process, is how we're doing it, how the team is feeling and gelling and how everybody's firing and just like the vibe and the energy and that we're really serving our customers and all those things. That's what really matters to me, and then the growth will take care of itself. I believe it's been working so far.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's really great to hear this from you. I know that it's a great product. I know that um, it's actually working and people are using it, because what I've experienced, that many spiritual people say, okay, just do what you love and everything will fall into place and things like that. And many forget about the financial part and
Mhm.
about actually making money from what they are doing, what they love doing. And it's like they just talk from the books rather than from their own experience.
Mhm.
And I love that you actually talk from your own experience, and you really live this. It's not
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and you have to take the money stuff seriously. It's just you don't have to chase it, but you need to do like have systems in place. Like I have a system in place that lets me make money like passively, as they say, right? That's not tied to the hours that I spend in. And that was a very conscious thing for me to put that in place. And I've been very systematic about making choices all the way along the way that would support that and not do things that would take away from that. Keep everything very streamlined, very easy, so that I don't have to spend inordinate amounts of time just keeping things running, things like that. And I've worked a lot of kind of the energetic and spiritual and beliefs and all that stuff about worthiness and receiving and making sure that I do that type of work as well. And I love money. I don't think there's anything unspiritual or unholy about money. I think they're amazing, and I enjoy having lots of it, and I would love to have even more, and I'm grateful for everything that I have. And like I think that's super important to not be like in denial about. Like money's great. I mean, can you imagine if like for me to go down and get a sandwich I had to like bring a goat and trade, or like that was
Yeah,
like
exactly.
so annoying,
Exactly. And it's so awesome actually that we can, like, for a sandwich, we have things from all around the country, for instance, that they bring in a
Exactly.
certain place. They mix it in a such a way that they have a great taste usually.
Exactly.
And
Talk about gratitude, right? Like, I
yeah,
mean, yes,
exactly.
exactly this. Like going to a restaurant and I'm just like amazed that like all the people that built this place, this building, and did the interior design, and all the people who showed up for work, and maybe they had to have their kids taken care of in daycare, and so the daycare at the nanny or like school or whatever, and like all these people, the people who grew this, the people who harvested it, like shipped it, and like it's insane the number of people involved in you eating just one dish, and
Yeah,
just the
exactly.
gratitude of like seeing that system in action, and like all these people did this just so I can enjoy this sandwich right now. Isn't that it's so
Exactly, yeah. And you only have to get some money, some papers, or some
yeah,
piece of plastic, and you give them and they give it to you. It's awesome.
yeah, it's so insane, yeah.
Yeah. And if you would have to go out and do this by yourself, That would be, oh my God.
Yeah.
It would
Completely.
take you like weeks or
Yeah.
even months to be able to create that sandwich,
Yeah.
or even more if you have to put the seeds and everything.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be really complicated.
Possible, right?
And we get it like really easy, and
Yeah.
that's
You
amazing.
have to time everything, right? So this is already exactly at the same
Yeah,
moment.
exactly, yeah, yeah, exactly. And like you said, it's great to have money and to be able to enjoy this and to be able to pay people for their work and for their passion and for what they're doing. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you have some kind of a practice that you do that keeps you grateful? Do you do something consistently? Because what's one of my important one of the important matters that I want to get into the world with this podcast is to have people be grateful consistently as much
Mhm.
as possible, to become for gratitude to become a way of life as much as possible. So
Right.
I want to ask you and to share with our audience, what are your ways to keep grateful consistently?
Yeah, I think the way it works is that you kind of you need to get the ball rolling, and um, once you do that, and once you kind of get over a certain level, I would say like a third of the way or something like that, then like the universe really starts to kick in, and it's just like the ball just keeps rolling and rolling. I really feel like at this point I really don't need a practice, because like my life is just like every day I'm like just like looking around and just like, oh my God, is this really happening? Is this really real? And so gratitude just becomes easy and again natural. I do meditate every day
Mhm.
in the morning. That does help. And but like really having like my team and my wife and the people that I have around me, and just like my customers, my audience, and seeing what people are doing, it's just like a constant source of gratitude for me. Um, it's becomes easy. It becomes very easy.
Mhm. But until then, did you have something that you were doing more often or consistently?
No, I'm not much of a consistency guy. I'm always like shifting around. I can never eat at the same time a day. I like always like do different things. So if there is a consistency, it's the willingness to always know that nothing's about what it seems that it's about, and inquire deeper and just be with whatever it is, and just like keep digging, keep opening up, keep being curious. Um, that would be my practice. I
Mhm.
would say.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, it's the most important thing actually is the attitude and um, the way you do things, and the attitude you do them with. It's really important, and that can make simple things into something that helps a lot with being grateful and with seeing life in a certain way. But I also believe that the fact that you meditate is really helpful in keeping
But
this.
honestly, I haven't been meditating systematically since about like October or something. Like, I mean, I've been on the spiritual journey, as you know, for well over a decade, and
Mhm.
meditation was never something that I had as a regular practice. So
Mhm.
yeah, um, I wish I had like a good solid answer here, but just like, I think, yes, one word again would be the willingness, right?
Mhm.
The willingness. I feel like that is just that tiny gap that lets the universe in and
Mm.
support
Yeah, that's great. I know that you are talking about these things that you have experienced, and what you have learned in your journey on your show, the Calvin show. Can you tell us more about it? A few words?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm doing is it's a video show that you can find at my website at calvincorreli.com, and we have 2 episodes a week, and it's really taking everything that I've learned through this journey and creating some plero and creating the life that I really want. Like I was born in Denmark and moved to here to New York via India, and just like the whole thing has been like crazy journey, and I've learned so much about life, business, relationships, gratitude, spirituality, and just how to be who you really are. I mean, that has been the biggest part of my journey. I had no idea who I was, right? So sharing all of that along with my passion for food and cocktails um, and music.
Music, yeah.
Yes, yes. Which is all part of the same. Like really, everything I do is like helping people like understand, like really get to know themselves and who they are, and integrate like right left brain, masculine, feminine, business, and spirituality. And so, yeah, bringing all that together into a show that I hope really inspires people to get to know themselves deeper and create more amazingness in their lives and
Yeah,
be more grateful for everything in their lives.
yeah, that's awesome. I know that you had. I've also shared on our page on Facebook. You had a chat with Victor
I
uh,
did, yes.
about gratitude, and it
Yeah,
was pretty amazing.
yeah. I met him. I mean, I met him a couple of years ago when he was a personal trainer in our building, and I had like one trial session with her, and we didn't end up with him. Sorry, we didn't end up working together. And then I heard that he was in a motorcycle accident and got hurt pretty bad. And then I saw him again last summer at the rooftop where he was in a wheelchair, and we ended up talking for like 2 or 3 hours, and just seeing like um he was a completely transformed person, and not just in the obvious way. He was just like on this mission to help people see that all of these little things that we think of as problems are really just not worth obsessing about, and like the gratitude that he felt even now for just being able to go out and have something to eat, even though he can barely use his hands. He's paralyzed from the chest down, and like even then, but for us who still have our functioning bodies, just the gratitude of being able to get up in the morning and put on your clothes and like make yourself a meal or eat a meal without it being a project. um,
Yeah.
these things are amazing. I mean, like our the human body is incredible. It's incredible, and we have it and we take it for granted,
Yeah,
and can do all these amazing things. Yeah,
exactly.
he really helped me. Like, and I needed that at that time. I forget what was going on exactly, but I could just feel. I just remember feeling, oh my God, I'm so grateful to have met Victor right now. I needed this, and yeah, feeling the gratitude for that and for everything that I have.
Exactly, exactly. This is how we usually get to experience, well, not usually, but many times we get to experience gratitude after seeing contrast, after like
Yeah,
after being sick, we appreciate being healthy much, much, much more.
exactly. And
And
he was even able to express gratitude for him having experienced that, which is crazy. And we had this. We're still working on like the sign off on the show, but at the time we were doing like remember what's the worst that can happen, and then like this is our number 2 episode, and this is going to be our ending. And I was like so like ready to do the sign off, and my producer is Ale. He's behind the camera, and he just goes like freaking out completely. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, why just like I think that's the other thing was like with someone like Victor, like he knows that we have all these conflicted feelings about him, and we feel guilty and we feel sorry for him and we feel scared and afraid of offending or like whatever. And he knows that. So just being honest about all these things just makes it so much easier for everybody. And
exactly.
right. So I was just like, look, Victor, we usually end our show by saying this, and I have to say it feels a little weird to do that now with you here. And he was like, no, I mean, go for it. Like, if I had to do this over again, I would go on the same ride. I would do that, and I'd end in the same place. I honestly wouldn't change a thing about it. I'm like, are you for real?
Yeah.
That seems so. But it was, I mean, so he was like, no, no, absolutely, go for it. So we ended up making that ending anyway, I think.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he said something like, by all means, live your life. Like, you don't have to sit in fear right now because you see me in this situation and things like that. It was mind blowing
Yeah, yeah,
coming from him, having already had that experience. It was wow.
yeah, exactly, right. Yeah,
He is really inspiring, and I don't think it's easy to be in his situation and also to have this kind of attitude. Many people, I think, uh, choose to have a totally different attitude when it comes to this. And
yeah, exactly, feeling sorry for themselves and all that.
yeah,
And I don't think that it's easy, but I think he's doing really well with it.
yeah, that's awesome. And to be able to come out of yourself and out of your problems and
Mhm.
to inspire that's really cool.
Yeah.
So getting back to this inspiration and gratefulness, do you have some people that you would like to mention that you are grateful for?
Yes. My wife, my kids. I might even throw my ex-wife in there, even though it hasn't always been easy. But she's actually the reason that I now have the team that I have. So um, I am gonna. Oh shoot! I'm doing some things here. Are we still good with sound? I think
Yeah,
so.
we're good. We're good.
Okay, cool. My computer started saying weird stuff. No, yeah. So her and then like my team, starting with Nick, who's like my partner on Simplero. He's a godsend. And the reason I met him was I had to go to Denmark to a meeting with the authorities over my kids because my ex-wife had decided that it was best if my kids didn't see their dad at all. And
Oh,
so I'm so grateful that she did that because that made me go to the authorities. That made me, which then, both gave me the right to see my kids as I want. And it gave me Nick. So how awesome is that? Again,
yeah.
like it seemed like awful at the moment, but it's the best thing that has happened with this in so many years. And then I want to be like a shout out to Holly, who's my healer, and she's incredible. I love her so much. She's amazing. Been working with her for several years and very intensively since May. And Celeste is someone who's really been helping me and my wife a lot recently. She's incredible too. So
Awesome.
those are people that I'm grateful for. My audience, my customers, all that. I'm grateful for so many people, but these are definitely standouts.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you very much, Calvin, for being here with us, for being present here with us, and for this awesome conversation. I'm sure that it has a lot of takeaways that if we apply them and we go with them, they can bring a lot of gratitude. Do you have a closing thought for our session today?
I just want to say thank you to you for reaching out, and it was like I love how this happened. I didn't realize that there were all these connections already, that you're on Simplero and that Ciprian and all that. So thank you for having me. Thank you for the to the audience for staying through the end, and for listening and for practicing gratitude and for even being interested in gratitude. I think that's
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
um, yeah. And yeah, if you enjoyed any of this, please check out my show at calvincorreli.com. I would love to connect with you there.